Well, everybody, I think we are live. We'll be looking at Manchester United's result against Crystal Palace. We'll be here for the next half an hour or so, going through the quotes in which what Ruben Amorim has said ahead of the post game, and we'll also be looking at some other key parts in which Manchester United win, looking at the positives, negatives from the game as well. So, listen, Manchester United finally got a win. It was a very very important win, and I think it was a win that we've needed. And I think Manchester United have thoroughly deserved the victory. I think Palace, listen, they're a very very good side. Don't don't get that confused. But I think Manchester United deserved to get the win, and I think the 3 points were there in terms of positives from the game. I mean, the two goals that we scored were wicked two goals. I mean, ZIRKZEE, he needed that for his confidence, for his momentum as well. Um, and I think ultimately the confidence that was shown from the team from the get go, I think is always difficult to kind of play a game when we've lost in the manner that we did against Everton during the week. But I think we showed a lot of confidence, a lot of fight, and I think Ruben Amorim did kind of agree with that as well. The fact that usually we do struggle against teams, but I think all in all, Manchester United showed a lot of fight, a lot of character. If you want to look at some individual performances, I thought defensively at times we were very shaky today. I thought we missed sort of that aggression, which again always comes, I know, is positive when Lissandro Martinez does come back into the team. I think that will be a massive boost for Manchester United. We've seen only a 10-minute cameo from him today, but again, it's good to see him back playing football after such a lengthy spell out on the time on the sidelines. And I think Manchester United kind of we did sort of need his aggression in terms of looking at Palace and what they offered. Listen, it was always going to be a tough game. I can't remember the last time United won at Palace. Was it Nemanja Matic all those years ago? I think 2017-18 season. So think how long ago that was. But yeah, listen, I think we showed a lot of fight, a lot of aggression, a lot of energy from the second half. Anyway, I thought the second half was a lot better than the first half in terms of that clinical edge which we needed. I mean, the two goals that scored were absolutely fantastic goals by Bruno Fernandes, by um the balls from Bruno Fernandes were brilliant both times, and ultimately I think we had a very, very, very good performance. And I think that's something that I think we needed more than anything from Manchester United at this current moment, to show that we can fight and to show that we can get the win. Now, in terms of some negatives, again, defensively, I thought we were very, very poor. And I think if you look at our recent games, De Ligt's probably been our best centre back in those games. He's been so, so good defensively in terms of winning his duels, winning his 1v1s, um, being physical, being dominant when you need him to. But I think in this game was probably one of his worst games. I think the quality in which he sort of have shown of late was kind of disappeared. And I think, listen, everyone has their off games. I'm not going to kind of criticise De Ligt because I think he's been very, very good for United this season. I think when you need a player of that quality, and to play in every game, which he does, is never easy. And I think Palace are a very, very good player team. Mateta's a very, very good player. And I think he did probably win the aerial duels. But I think if you look at the stats from the game, I think United had the same amount of shots as Palace. And I think Palace, listen, yes, they're a good team. We know that. We know the quality in which they have. It's it's one of the best in the league. They've been very, very, very good in terms of form this season, and they have had a lot of momentum going into this game. I mean, we're now above Crystal Palace. If you look at the stats in the game, we had more possession than they did, more shots on target, and the same amount of shots. They obviously had more XG. We missed two big chances, they missed two. But again, I think United were kind of the dominant side in that second half, and whether that's sort of Palace's lethargic. What? What'd you say? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think we did miss that sort of cutting edge in that final third from United. But I think you look at going into the game, there was a lot of sort of trepidation. There was a lot of frustration going into the game, and I thought United would probably lose the game looking at it. But again, there was a lot of fight. I thought the team again we did miss Cunha and we did miss Xerxes quite a bit. I think that was something that was obvious. Sorry, not Xerxes, Cunha and Sesko. But Xerxes stepped up. I mean, the game, I think the result depended on whether Xerxes was going to turn up or not, and ultimately he did. He had a wicked goal, wicked second half as well, and I think it was a very, very good performance by Manchester United. In terms of things to be sort of happy about in terms of a Amorim perspective, we go through some of the quotes now and what he said. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes looked like he did have a hamstring injury. Amorim did come out and confirm that was just a kick that Bruno Fernandes kind of looking at. So yeah, he talked about Joshua Zirkzee. He said it's important for a striker to score goals. He's not playing many minutes, but the way we responded in that second half is so important. I think, listen, for Zirkzee, he's always been frustrated. Um, he would be frustrated with the time, but he thanked the coaching staff and the good group of players that he has for kind of his performance today. Obviously, set pieces, United are one of the best teams now in the league for set pieces. I think only behind Arsenal, better than Palace, obviously better than Liverpool as well. Many teams are. Um, it's sort of very, very good to see. He said it's important in our league to score from set pieces because every opponent is hard. You can see from the throw in, free kicks, corners, to open the game and give confidence. In the Premier League, if you do not work on set pieces, you're losing the game already. And listen, look how kind of at a time, how much Arsenal were kind of reliant on set pieces to kind of get them through the games. Now, obviously, they scored four against Tottenham last week, but set pieces are a very, very big part of the game. And United need to be doing way, way better from set pieces. I think we've improved that last season. Obviously, I think we scored one against Fulham at Craven Cottage. We scored one against Sunderland. We have scored quite a few set pieces this season. I think, as it shows by the stats, I think it's 9 so far this season. But yeah, I think we need to be more of a threat from set pieces, and I think that's something that obviously will come with time. I think set pieces are a big part of the game now, especially from long throw-ins. Obviously, every player has that player who's going to be taking that long throw-ins. I mean, Coyote from Brentford's probably the best at doing that. I think the way in which he launches the ball into the box is obviously fantastic. But again, Dallo, he's looked all right this season. But again, it's a big part to play. And one thing I did notice from the game was Adam Wharton. I think that's something to kind of look at as a midfielder. I mean, he's one of the best in the Premier League. We've kind of known that now for a while. But I think in terms of the audition, we've seen the audition now of Belabor, we've seen it of Anderson, and we've seen it of Adam Wharton today. I mean, for me personally, I would go with Adam Wharton as the best out of the three. Again, Anderson had a very, very good game against us, but does that mean sort of you go for Belabor? Again, I don't think it means anything. The fact that he had one poor performance doesn't kind of mean anything to me. I still think he's a very, very good player with a lot of potential, and I think you have to obviously give the young player time, and I think that's something that United will obviously kind of watch in their assessment. But you look at sort of the passing, the crisp passing from Wharton, it was honestly fantastic. The way in which he delivered the ball through midfield, he progressed it as well fantastically well. And I mean, the pass to Mateta, which gets the penalty, was wicked as well. And I think he's a player for me with a lot of potential. And I think we've kind of known that, and we've seen that. Um, we've seen that for a long time now. The potential in which he does have, I think he's been wicked, and I think his quality on the ball is fantastic as a midfielder as well. I think you look at the midfield in which United have, we are we are struggling in terms of getting a competent midfielder. I think Casemiro is great. Don't get me wrong. In terms of breaking up the play and that, but I think we need a younger midfielder. One with a bit more cutting edge, one with a bit more tenacity, and one for me who can definitely not score goals, but have a part to play in the goals. And yes, Casemiro is wicked from set pieces. I think he's one of the best players at United from scoring from headers. But I think we need a lot more improvement, and I think that's something that will hopefully United will look to strengthen during the summer window because I think we do need a lot of improvement in that position. In terms of other things, again, very happy for ZIRKZEE. He said, Amorim said this, I felt the last 10 minutes of the first half that the opponent was struggling and would struggle in the second half. We tried to change a few things, but it was mainly the intensity. And I think that was the biggest change in the second half. The intensity for Manchester United was huge. You look at how United of late have been very, very poor in the first half. Or sorry, very, very good in the first half and then very, very poor in the second half. I think this time it was the other way around. I think we were pretty sloppy in that first half, but second half we came out, the intensity, the press, the fight was there from minute one. I think he's seen that from the way in which United were kind of going about themselves in the game. So listen, I think that was a main positive. I think that was one of the best things to look out for from a Manchester United perspective. Obviously, there's still a long way to go in the season, but I think the intensity is something that we kind of need to improve, and I think that's something that we've needed. In terms of ambition for the season, I mean, Palace, it was a tricky result, tricky performance, but I think we got the win. And in terms of going forward, looking at the rest of the season as a sort of benchmark now, we now are, I believe, seventh in the Premier League. So again, you want to look at climbing up the table. We are seventh in the league, yet obviously we're not looking at first, but we're 8 points off first. But you look at that top four, I mean, the teams in there, Chelsea play Arsenal, obviously, in about an hour. So that's going to be something to kind of look out for, depending on how that game goes. Obviously, Villa are currently drawing 0-0 to Wolves. So again, see how that goes. They're above Manchester United, Crystal Palace obviously behind. But in terms of the sort of ambition for the season, you want to be looking at getting top four. I think top four certainly should be an ambition of Manchester United and a sort of way of going about things. I think top four, United can get Champions League football, and I think having that one game a week did massively help us in this game. I think one game a week has been sort of a struggle for Manchester United of late, and I think the one game a week that we finally have had a kind of did come in clutch for a little bit for Manchester United in terms of looking at the intensity in that second half. I think it was obvious we were going to have the cutting edge. I mean, Crystal Palace played against Strasbourg. But yeah, I want to go back to talk about the game. I would say more positives were the subs. Yes, obviously it was only Masraoui who was on for a substantial amount of time compared to the others, but I think he had an impact in that pitch. I thought he brought that experience, composure that we needed as well on the ball. I think we did kind of lose that at times. With Euro, listening, he's a young player. I don't think there's any reason to kind of go in on him for his performance today. Yes, he gives away a penalty, and you can see his frustration when he came off the pitch, but I think he's certainly a player that you have to give time to. I think he's a young player with a lot of growth in him, and we've seen, listen, he's had tough spells at United, but has so many other players that have joined, and they've gone on to be top signings. So I think you have to give Euro a bit of leeway today. He's going to have difficult games, but he's someone who is very trusted by Ruben Amorim, and someone for me who has a lot of potential, definitely, to go on to be one of the best centre backs in the world for me. And listen, it was a clear penalty in which he gave the ball away. But again, I think there's still a lot of improvement, a lot of potential in him because, listen, he's going to have difficult games, but I think you go from here. In terms of other things, I think Le Mans, he didn't really have too much to do. I mean, he's a decent keeper. We know that. We've seen that in the game so far in which he's played for United. He's a world-class sort of player in terms of doing what he needs to do. But again, today, Palace, I mean, they scored from a penalty, but I don't think they really threatened the box as much as I expected them to. They had 3 shots on target. I think Wharton had one that was straight at Le Mans on his right foot. Mateta, again, if I was Palace, I'd be fuming. I think he should have had 2 goals. But again, listen, more importantly, United got the win, and I thought Le Mans was very, very key. Looking at Luke Shaw now, I've seen mixed kind of reviews, I'd say, on his performance. I thought Shaw, for me today, had good moments. He made some very, very good challenges. He looked very, very kind of composed defensively and was probably the best out the back three. Obviously, yes, at times he did kind of struggle to get into the game, but as a centre back, I think he won a lot of his duels. He won a lot of his duels and a lot of the sort of things that he needed to do. As I said, Shaw, we know his limitations, but now with Lisandro Martinez potentially being back, does that mean Shaw goes to left wing back? Does that mean Shaw gets dropped to the bench, and you bring in Martinez. I mean, it was certainly very damning. I mean, I was looking at the quotes from Ruben Amorim's pre-match press conference for the game, and he talked about Dorgu, and I can't remember the exact quote off the top of my head, but it was quite damning on Dorgu. He talked about how basically he needs to improve in that final third, which again we know Dorgu needs to. I think that is probably the one limitation of his game, but I mean, with Martinez coming back into the team, I'm sure he will start as soon as he gets that sort of go ahead from Amorim and the fitness team that he can start, because he's someone who is really rated by Ruben Amorim in terms of his physicality, his presence on the ball, his aggression, his line breaking passes. And I think he's sort of that centre back in a three that you need to step forward. You have the one who's more deeper in terms of De Ligt in this case, and then you have a Euro and a Martinez who can make those progressive passes. And I think Euro, that's not a strength of his yet, but I think that can come with development, and I think that's something that he needs to improve on. And we'll probably be working with Ruben Amorim. I think one of the main assets and strengths of Martinez's game is his passing. I think he can make some very, very good passes over the top, line breaking passes. I think it was Rangers, him in the Europa League, he made a wicked pass to Bruno, which we scored late on in the game. Martinez as well. His aggression at times can be too much, but I think he's a sort of that butcher where he gets his name from, and that quality player that you need in your defence. Ultimately, I think it's always good to have players with that sort of aggression, that sort of fight, that sort of grit that you need. And I think Martinez was very, very good in that aspect. Obviously, he got 10 minutes today. And I think in terms of the future of Luke Shaw, I think that potentially could mean Luke Shaw drops to the bench for a little bit. But Luke Shaw has been good, to be honest with him. I mean, he was written off last season with injuries. But look at World Cup here, Luke Shaw comes back. Is that really a coincidence? Probably not, I'd say. But yeah, very, very happy with sort of the defence in terms of availability. But I think there's still a lot of improvement needed. I mean, again, another goal conceded today. I talked about that as a problem for Manchester United, the amount of goals in which we're conceding from defence. Well, not from defence, but just in goals in general. I mean, you look at sort of the top teams in the higher end of the table and the amount of goals they conceded. Obviously, Arsenal, clear. I mean, unfortunately, they are the best in the Premier League at the moment. But I think looking at in the ways in which they can kind of cause problems to United, I think United defensively need to improve massively in terms of shutting up shop with the goals we conceded. Listen, they get a penalty, but other than that, I thought defensively at times we did kind of sound them out very, very well. Shaw making some large tackles as well. In terms of wing backs today, I thought Delo had an alright game. I mean, I was very, very kind of unsure when he started the game. I was thinking it'd be a typical Delo performance, to be honest, but I thought he defended well. Few good set pieces. He defended. He put a good few crosses into the box, and he looked all right, to be honest. I mean, Delo, there's only a sort of certain performance you can get out of Delo in that left wing back position. I don't think Delo is a very good wing back at all, if I'm being honest. But I think you can certainly see what Amorim sees in him in terms of he's a bit more, I'd say, assured than Dorgu at the moment. But long term, I think wing back is definitely a position we need to strengthen. I think Amorim was asked that in his pre-match press conference. But listen, I think in terms of wing back, we've got Amas on loan. We've brought in Diego Leon. We've got Dorgu. We've got Dallo. We've obviously got Shaw who can play there. Amas as well. So there are sort of decent players there for United in that left wing back position. From I think Amas as someone at Sheffield Wednesday, he's been brilliant and getting a lot of praise from the Sheffield Wednesday sort of fans and people. I think obviously Diego Leon's a young player we brought in for the future, but again, he's definitely someone you can kind of look at as being a world class player in terms of Manchester United view him as that. And I think he has had opportunities in pre-season. I think he is playing for the under-21s, but his development is definitely something to look out for going forward, because he's a young player, but his talent is certainly kind of one, as I said, to look out for. But yeah, I think left wing back is certainly interesting. I think our right wing back, we're more sort of Amorim kind of has what he wants in Amad Diallo. His ideal wing back portfolio is having the winger there. If you look at Sporting, his team, he had Giovanni Quenda there, who was brilliant and amazing. But again, the wing back berth at United has struggled of late, and I think Amad there again today was all right. And we looked calm, composed on the ball. He had decent bits of link up play, but I think at times him and Burma were getting in each other's way. But I think that's kind of expected. But I think they had pretty good performances. I think in Burma obviously struggled to get into the game. But yeah, I think all in all, we've got the 3 points, and you look at the performances so far that we've had in the Premier League. There has been some good performances, and there has been some poor performances as well, in which you can kind of look at and see, oh, are we making progress? But I think this one against Palace is definitely one of our better ones. I mean, it was a it was a sort of wicked sort of atmosphere in terms of from the away fans as well. But this performance was was not world class, but it was better than what we've seen in a while from Manchester United. And again, you look at some of the results in the Premier League. Obviously, Liverpool have just scored. Isak's finally scored a goal, which is a surprise in itself. I mean, he's been shocking for Liverpool, hasn't he? But we're not going to talk about Liverpool. But you look at United so far in the league in terms of wins and losses. You look at the opening game against Arsenal. Again, the game went in the way that it did. I mean, I think United should have done better in that game, but it was a 1-0 loss. Now we're a 1-1 loss. That's a 1-0 loss. Then you look at the Fulham game, 1-1. Bruno misses a penalty. Euro scores late on. We had many chances in that game. I can remember Cunha, Mount, and Burmo having chances to score in that game, but we get a 1-1 draw there. Obviously, Grimsby we don't talk about. We then got a win against Burnley, got absolutely battered by Manchester City, beat Chelsea, got battered by Brentford, beat Sunderland, beat Liverpool, beat Brighton, drew with Forest and Spurs, lost to Everton, and beaten Crystal Palace. So listen, we faced some tough teams so far in the league. We played a lot of the top sides, and I think the positive would be the fact that we've beaten Liverpool at Anfield, which again is a positive. We've beaten Chelsea at home. We drew with Spurs away, and we beaten Palace away. Obviously, the disappointment would be losing to Arsenal at home, um, and obviously getting battered by City away from home. But I think we have made some decent progress in the league. Look at where we were last season. You look at to where we are this season. I think there's a lot to be excited for from Ruben Amorim and the team. I think performance-wise, we've had a lot of good individual performances, but I think the one thing that we've kind of seen and what's improved was the team performance. I think Amorim has got this team playing some decent football, I'd say. I think we've looked good, we've looked sharp, and I think the last few games have been pretty positive for Manchester United. So I'm hoping we can kind of move and develop from here, and go on and have some very, very good games, because I think we do need that. But again, one thing I would say is United, the best football club in the world. We know that it has been tough of late, but again, this game against Crystal Palace was fantastic. And I think in terms of the man of the match and sort of the aftermath of the game, I would have to probably give it to ZIRKZEE. He's had a torrid time of it of late. Against Everton, he just didn't look like he could have any part to play in the game, and he was struggling a lot. But you look at this game, he showed a lot of fight, a lot of resilience, and he had a very, very quality performance. So I think you have to give some credit to ZIRKZEE in terms of his own personal sort of attitude and fight to get back into the game, because it's something that again we haven't seen a lot of Manchester United. So shout out to ZIRKZEE for his performance. I thought it was very, very good, and I think he's going to get man of the match. But overall, very good performance. No injury concerns. Obviously, we'll have Cunha back for the game against West Ham, which obviously is a massive boost. Hopefully, Sesko will be back in a few weeks. But yeah, listen, positives. I thought Shaw deserves a bit of praise. I thought Euro, again, a game to forget for him. But Ahmad had a good game for me. Maswari when he came on. Obviously, Mount, ZIRKZEE as well. Bruno getting 2 assists. But yeah, it looked very, very dark going into the game for United against Palace, but we showed that fight ambition to kind of get the win. So I'm very, very happy. That has been the aftermath. Let me know your thoughts. Peace.